Welcome back. And okay, I'll share my microphone with you. Okay, hi again everyone. I'm Jawna. I'm here on the panel with this amazing team up here. So I'm going to have everybody go around. I'll have you start, Memebrains, and then we'll go this way. Everybody just give a brief intro that people that may have missed you this morning. We're going to talk about policy, but we're also going to talk about challenges that we've seen in DAOs and disputes and legal stuff like that. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Memebrains.
Great, thank you. I'm Memebrains. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, founder, CEO, event production background, a construction background, software automation background, active in several DAOs doing infrastructure building, competed and won at ETH Denver, and running for special counsel at 8Coin DAO right now, and just very active in the ecosystem overall. Can give a few perspectives from a few different angles there.
Fantastic, thank you. And our new friend here, you want to give an introduction?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Cristiana Aristedo. I'm a tech lawyer for the last 27 years in practice. Mostly based in Cyprus, working with common law, but I do transnational law. So transnational means I work in many different jurisdictions on structures, providing for regulations, laws and regulations, and of course, compliance structures. This is an awesome event. I love this organization. Congratulations to the people organizing this. You're all awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, I'm Leo. I was really interested in crypto when I was in college studying it and learning about it. Finally jumped in because of the prices in 2021. Bought the Pico top and ended up staying for the DAO infrastructure and DAOs. And then started at MyDAO as an intern and have been involved ever since 2021.
Nice. My name is Bryn. I'm a former chef and food product developer. I cut my teeth in the blockchain industry at Secret Network, which is a Web3 privacy protocol. And I founded a non-profit DAO called the Secret Agency with MeDAO, which helps to push privacy adoption and education in Web3. And right now I'm the head of partnerships at GovDAO, which is a legal and regulatory advisor for DAOs. We join other DAOs as in-DAO advisors, and helping to push DAO adoption education now, so it's great to be here.
Great, thanks, Bryn. All right, I'm going to start off with the first question with, what do you see as the biggest challenges in DAOs today?
The biggest challenges to me, number one, to me, the straight math business side of me gravitates towards the fact that so many DAOs have a decreasing treasury. Treasury's diminishing. That means that the grants they're giving out aren't going to keep happening. The team they have aren't going to have funding. You can't have anything sustainable that doesn't have sustainable revenue or income, or at least the ability in some capacity to pay for the expenses. And part of that triggers in with the SEC and the legalities around that. Well, how do you and can you, and under what conditions can you or can't you, and when and how and where and by who? It's so confusing that just compounds the problem and makes it bigger.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Sustainability, right? Longer term. What do you guys think?
So I would split it up into beginning, middle, and end in terms of challenges that we faced. I think in the beginning, the biggest challenge was getting our governance framework figured out, like the if-then logic behind, obviously you don't want your monthly treasury and payroll outgoings to have to go through a really stringent procedure, because you kind of just need to get that done. That's the day-to-day. But if someone is leaving, or you need to add a new strategy to the operation, you kind of need a bit more governance involvement. So that for us took about 6 months. And we drafted it over and over and over again, and we had a lot of drama because of the bear market, negativity in the community, but that was the biggest challenge in the beginning. In the middle, it was finding the balance between privacy to protect our members, contributors, and the competitiveness of the DAO, I would say, and also transparency with the community. We're a non-profit, so we're accepting donations from the Secret Network blockchain. We had to present our budgets and be transparent about that, but we couldn't dox any of our contributors because we had a very sticky situation with the local police that found out and turned one of their houses over, which wasn't very nice. I would say in the end, the biggest problem was managing apathy. As people, maybe someone gets a new job who was a core contributor before and they can't contribute the hours anymore. I think that sub-DAOs are really interested in to manage that and to kind of segregate, okay, this is a focused business unit, this is your business development sub-DAO, legal sub-DAO, technical development sub-DAO. It helps to kind of keep people focused and contributing, I think, but then again, they need to be resourced.
Yeah, that's a great point. Leo?
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on that apathy part. Like, I think probably the biggest issue facing DAOs is voter participation. And yesterday we heard a really unique solution to that with confidential voting. And the speaker likened it to a presidential vote, right? Where when you vote for a president or an elected official, you do so in the privacy of your own booth, right? And I think that was a really unique solution, but I don't know if that'll help create voter participation or not. And I think that apathy point is a great point, because when you think about DAOs are a lot like Congresses, right? And so it's almost not really a presidential election. It's more like an election when a Congress or a democratic governance unit has to vote on a proposal, right? And usually in governments, every person is required to vote, right? And so I think tackling that apathy by maybe creating some mechanism that requires people to vote and does so in a private manner and for certain instances, but also for a public manner for other instances, might help solve voter participation. But it's a tough solution, and there's a reason that countries are still dealing with it right now.
That's a good point. And Christiana, what are your thoughts on talking with different Web3 projects?
Yes, of course. So I deal with this technology, I mean blockchains and distributed ledger technologies since the invention in 2008. And as I said before, I participate as the national delegate. I'm the head of the national delegation, the Cyprus national delegation to the TC307 of the International Standardization Organization, where we are looking into producing the standards for DAOs and, of course, generally for smart contracts and blockchains and DLTs. So from my eyes and from what I engage, the conversations I engage in with policymakers, because I consider myself a policymaker and not just a lawyer, the biggest issues with DAOs are the very existence of the DAO as a legal entity, because it needs to have legal personality. And of course, then from there we see the issue of the legal protection of the participants in the DAO. So we are looking into finding ways in how to provide for DAOs to become legal entities, maybe not just one, many different legal entities like we do have in our real lives. So at the moment, we don't have anything yet. So at the moment, what we do is that we focus on decentralization, and we identify ways in how this in DAOs is compromised. And if decentralization in DAOs is compromised in any ways, then what we see is the risk of the members and the founders, because when decentralization is compromised, then the regulators will scrutinize the DAO, and then they will see who are the stronger, let's say, participants in the DAO, the founders, who have the decision making in the DAO. And whenever the DAO has something to do in the real world, who actually represented the DAO physically, so that maybe that person is liable.
Yeah, no, you bring up a really excellent point. And yesterday, Sven from Light Protocol, I think, asked the question, you know, he asked it rhetorically, but there is an answer to it. And he said something to the effect of, you know, if somebody votes for something, can they be held liable? The answer is yes. It really depends also how much somebody or a regulator wants to put the screws to you, but it's to this point. And then it also brings up the question of like privacy and voting and things of that nature. But yeah, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Just in terms of, because we have some cases where like you can question how decentralized is that DAO? Actually, it's a question that gets asked a lot about Lido, right? Because they're sort of approaching the benchmark of, I don't know, 33% control, and there's a concern about this, and it's becoming too centralized. And the question comes up is like, how do you define how centralized a project is? Well, you can backtrack and say, well, let's see what kind of legal entities it has. Does it have a board of directors? In the eyes of the law, if you have a board of directors, you are not decentralized, because a board of directors' main goal is to oversee like the CEO. So you can kind of get into some of these things, but I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that, just in terms of like how defined or how decentralized a DAO actually is?
Sure, yeah, I'll give two examples, one with ApeCoin DAO and one with City DAO. And first, perfection is an illusion. Perfection doesn't exist. If I ask each of you today, what does decentralized look like? I'll probably get, how many people are here? 40 people? I'll probably get maybe 35 different answers. Maybe a few of you might agree, maybe, if we're lucky. That'd be great. So let's just start from that premise. Decentralized has a lot of definitions. Now, in ApeCoin DAO, for example, great example, right now, elections are live for the special council. It's public, it's open, you can see that, it's transparent. You can go on Snapshot and you can see there's 27 candidates. You can see who voted on who, in which order, and which candidates are doing well and which ones have some work to do. Like me, I have some work to do. And if you look at a couple stats, you can see the quantity of wallets that have voted is often different than the quantity of tokens in each of those wallets. So you might have a candidate in 15th spot that maybe had several dozen individual wallets voting for that candidate. And assuming that each wallet represents an individual person, you could say that, let's say, 20 or 30 people voted for this candidate. Well, why are they down there when, for example, a candidate that's in the top 5 maybe only has 1 or 2 wallets that voted for them? Well, that's whale power. That's by having a lot of tokens or voting power into one single wallet or just a couple wallets. Is that good or is it bad? I'll let you decide. Sometimes, if someone has a larger stake in the community, maybe they care more about the community, and maybe they should have a stronger vote. Or maybe having too much voting power in one wallet means that it's overpowering or overruling the unanimous or the collective vote of the rest of the community. That's also possibly true, given this, it depends on the situation. And I think that I would caution people to come to a conclusion that's too quick. I'd caution you to slow down the decision process and look at all the factors at play before coming to your own conclusion on, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? So I'm not going to comment further on it than that, on that particular topic, because it's a deep topic and I could go longer than there's room on the panel. The other thing that I'll bring to the table is another, and this is another ApeCoin example. ApeCoin DAO to me represents one of the most powerful opportunities of liquid democracy that I've ever seen. 142,000 individual wallet holders own one or more ape. And that's a lot of wallets. Now there's in ApeCoin there's a strong delegate program. There's a lot of delegates. There's probably, I don't know, 3 dozen delegates that are, you know, in the top tier. And as a delegate myself, I'm a delegate with 8DAO within ApeCoin DAO. And as a delegate, people are trusting me with their votes. When I make a vote on the behalf of the delegate, if I make a bad vote, if I say the wrong thing, if I say the wrong thing right now on the microphone and they see it, I'm going to lose those votes, gone, just like that. And even though my voting power is greater than the average, simply by way of being a delegate, I can lose it tomorrow if I do the wrong thing. And you don't see that in politics today. You don't see that with a president or a prime minister or a mayor or a senator today. If a mayor or a senator makes a bad decision, it doesn't matter. They're there for the next 3 years no matter what happens. But as a delegate, I can lose that tomorrow. And that what I find interesting with that is that it creates a mathematical equation that I had not considered prior to now. The liquidity in a vote, or the liquidity in a vote, in other words, the capacity for a politician or a delegate or whatever you want to call it to lose their vote, the liquidity goes up, the accountability goes up. And that is really, really important. Because even though a delegate might have a lot of power, they're held accountable to that power by way of anyone being able to remove their votes in an instant, in one click. And that's one of the beautiful things of blockchain that introduces into our political systems, in our governance systems, whether it's a DAO or a country, that gets me excited to be here.
Great answer. Do you
Yeah, I
guys
think
want
this
to?
is a hot take, but I think the definition of DAO matters, right? If we actually define a DAO as a decentralized autonomous organization, there might be one DAO that actually does that, and that's Bitcoin, right? Everything else can probably be considered not a DAO because really many DAOs aren't decentralized and a lot of them aren't autonomous, right? But I think another way to look at it is if you want to define DAO more broadly, you can define tons of things as DAOs, right? And so maybe the better definition for a DAO is an online, I don't know, quasi-autonomous organization, right? And then you can basically call half of crypto a DAO. But yeah, I think it's interesting because we're always nitpicking at the word decentralized or autonomous, and it's like the one thing that actually does it is Bitcoin, and no one calls that a DAO.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that every DAO is unique in its own way and has different needs. I mean, a DAO can be a book club or it could be a gigantic financial institution and anything in between those. So, like, I mean, from my perspective, the privacy preserving features are paramount in terms of like protection of the contributors, you know, and also with the MeDAO setup that we had, it enabled us to access banking as well, which is very important for the day-to-day. Like, if I was sending 30 people out to conferences all over the world, they're going to be coming back to me with all sorts of receipts and stuff like that for payment. I'm going to have to account for all of that in different currencies. That got very cumbersome very quickly, right? Yeah. So yeah, there's, you know, now when we advise clients with GovDAO on how to build their DAO in a bespoke way, we'd say, you know, use Fina.cash for your debit card that's private, that you can top up with private tokens, but you can still prove to your accountant that you're being compliant. There's products like these Web3 IBANs that are coming out now, especially in the EU. For a Web2 company that wants to become a DAO, that means that they don't have to retrain their entire accounting department. They can just, you know, use the systems that they already know. I've got some alpha for the Solana community as well that my Palette Secret network has just told me that they've actually got an integration with Wormhole out at the moment. I believe it's pending. So that'll mean that any DApp on Solana can come to Secret Network and call on all these privacy-preserving contracts. It's the most battle-tested privacy network out there. It's one of the first and was for a long time the only private smart contract chain. So
That's great news. Great alpha. And you, Christiana, do you have any stories around this or opinions on it?
In my view, the issue now is decentralization is defined. I mean, in the standards at least. So it's a system where all the nodes are equal. So whenever you identify any power of any node that is not equal to the others, then that is where exactly the problem starts with the regulators. So what we need to do, what we need to discuss is discussing decentralization levels and then define how we treat these levels. And I had a recent experience with MiCA. MiCA is the Markets in Crypto Asset Regulation. And actually, with MiCA, it is, the MiCA provides that in order to regulate the stable coins, MiCA provides for 3 different products, let's say. The one is the ART, which is the asset reference token. The other is the EMT, which is the electronic money token. And then there's another category for normal cryptocurrencies and utility tokens. NFTs are not covered by MiCA. Security tokens are not covered by MiCA. So imagine a DAO issuing a stable coin in this case. And then let's say they believe they are a DAO, they cannot identify the issuer. All of us together in the DAO, we issue the stable coin. Then this will be scrutinized by the regulator. The regulator will think in the following way: am I going to regulate this DAO for the issuance of this stable coin they just issued or not? What are they going to do? They will scrutinize, they will go behind, they will see the blockchain architecture of the DAO, the consensus mechanisms, the different consensus mechanisms. Whatever you have, Aksema, your name, your replies, I mean, I agree with each and every of your replies, awesome, valid. But then they will say, okay, if I'm the regulator and I identify here that some of the nodes do have power, or the founders or whoever, then these are the issuers. Therefore, where I can identify issuers in the DAO, then the DAO should have been regulated under MiCA to issue this ART or to issue this EMT or any other cryptocurrency under the 3rd category of the product regulated by MiCA.
Do you think it's possible to have a DAO with every node being equally weighted with power? Because I think it's probably impossible. Right.
No.
So they have to incorporate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much time we have left, if Chris is in here or Taki or one of the guys. Okay. What do we have? 2 minutes? 3 minutes? Okay. Okay. So just in closing, because there's so many things that we could say here, and if you were to give just like in as few sentences as possible, like a DAO that's either already established or just starting out, some advice, I guess it's a loaded question. Let's say an existing DAO, because I think everybody here is probably dabbling in something. Like, what would you advise them on, just sort of based on your experience, besides the voting and whatnot? Like, is there some piece of advice you could give them just in terms of either legal or governance?
Like advice on any topic?
Yeah, on any topic to help them run more smoothly, to help them, I guess, avoid becoming too centralized.
So governance-related question, governance-related advice. I'll revert back to what I was saying in the presentation I gave earlier. Show me one DAO that doesn't have problems in governance, and I will eat my shirt. And how do we resolve that? The path to governing dysfunctional DAOs is to govern ourselves a little bit better. When there's a large group of arguments or a large discourse, problems, it's a large discourse of problems of individuals. We're all individuals. If 30 of us are yelling at each other, we can reverse engineer that down to me and you. And if me and you can behave and talk better, if I can talk better towards you, you'll probably talk better towards me. And vice versa, and you and you, and you and you. And if we go into that micro, if I take a step back, let my emotions calm down, and bring the best version of myself to the table, that's the best I can do. And if you do that, and if you do that, and if you do that, if we all do that, then all of us together are going to be functioning better, and that's going to translate to a better functioning DAO. And everything, for me, and my advice on governance is going to start right there.
Great advice. I'm going to learn to take that myself. You guys want to comment?
I'll share a little tip for upskilling your kind of small-time contributors into high-level ones. Is just find out what they need to develop professionally, whether it's like English lessons, elocution lessons sometimes, often in non-native English speakers. That can be a really great motivator to get someone, from just doing like translations or managing a Telegram channel into actually developing partnerships for your DAO.
Excellent advice. Leo?
Yeah, I just say never stop exploring new governance methods. There's like a really cool DAO called MetaDAO right now. Nouns is really cool. I kind of view those two DAOs as really unique forms of governance and token issuance, and so maybe learning from them and trying to create a unique governance model for your own DAO that custom fits your needs instead of just copying and pasting what others have done might be an effective solution.
Right on. And Christiane, as we wrap up here?
I would say start with a business plan, then break down the business plan into smaller business plans, and then create the DAOs, sub-DAOs, and then structure them accordingly with legal entities, connecting each sub-DAO to a legal entity wherever, in the jurisdiction that is the chosen jurisdiction for that specific work operation of the bigger DAO.
Excellent. So a little more order and organization around what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yes. And since I'm here, I want to propose something to AthensDAO publicly. I would suggest to AthensDAO, since Athens is a city of democracy, and it should be at the forefront of the developments of DAO. Yes? Okay. So it should, I say we because I like the place here and I like the fact that I'm here, and awesome organization. I like this association, let's say, of people. So I would suggest that AthensDAO should also work on the policy part and the legal part, the policy part, and push in the lobbying, and do lobbying. So we need to do lobbying, not only in Europe, internationally, but at least we need to start from Europe, lobbying to push things for DAOs and in favor of decentralization. Yes?
Yes, we've already done the first steps.
Fantastic.
And we are already in contact with the Onassis Foundation, helping
Awesome.
us shape the policy locally. But yeah,
Fantastic.
we're getting there, we're getting there. Thank you so much. It's beautiful to listen from eloquent speakers.